That's all right. I'll hold it.
All right. Good evening. Welcome to this LSIC meeting for the Hansted Divide Midland Trail Schools on this January 14th, 2025. If you would join me, I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Our flag's back here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, board members. Let the record reflect all 5 board members are present this evening. Again, we are very thankful to come up and gather in Midland Trail High School, my old high school, so it's good to be back here. We're looking forward to the presentations from our local schools. And I think getting us started this evening is Hansted Elementary, so I'll invite you up. All right, thank you.
Good afternoon. While she's passing out, I'm going to
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lsic, Ms. Pam, Mr. Hess, Ms. Brewer, Ms. Amber, Ms. Shea, and Ms. Chrissy. We can always put them Barry if we want to, and Ms. Maggie, because that'll be a mommy at my school. And then Matthew Bradford, which you'll see here in the presentation. He is a community partner now through our WV Tech and Bridge Montgomery General Hospital. Sorry, Montgomery General Hospital. So there's a quick overview, and we're going to try to make it as short as possible going through. And Ms. Brewer, will you come on up, because she's going to be addressing some of these. So, okay, Tina, go ahead. So our first question is, how are we addressing student achievement? And on the next slide, you'll see our logic model. I was kicking and screaming, everyone can tell you, Mr. McFarland can tell you, I could not understand it, so that I finally have figured out, and I finally have presented to our staff the logic model, giving short, mid, long-term goals for our school as a whole of what to focus on. The academic pieces being writing, math, and intervention. So right here, Ms. Brewer is going to talk about our iReady slide.
So iReady, as most of you know, is a county-adopted program that we use for diagnostics, for student tracking, and instruction. And so at our school, we have some examples of ways that teachers are tracking iReady in the classroom. Our students are expected to pass 2 reading and 2 math lessons per week, and not only, we strive for them to earn 100% on those lessons. So a lot of the teachers have done class goals, and so this photo up here, you'll see every time a student earned a 100 on an iReady lesson, they have to color in a sprinkle, and then when their donut or all their sprinkles were filled in, then they had some sort of little celebration. In my class, I track individually, and so every week, and this is an older picture, we have way more past than that now, but so at the end of every week, I will check how many each student has passed, and so that way it's just a quick visual. They can see exactly where they are and what they need to strive for. We use iReady and that data to create our groups for our intervention time, and we group our students in a variety of different ways. It could be based off of deficit skills. It could be an acceleration. Maybe they have in place what they need and we're pushing them on. It could just be a quick reteach of something that they didn't get the week before. So our groups are pretty fluid using iReady, and that's one thing that we do like about it. And then we also use our iReady data to help create the centers that we use in a lot of our small groups within the classroom. And then up here you'll see some photos of some other examples. This is Miss Donato. She's our autism teacher, and I do believe some of her older students do complete that.
We are attempting.
Attempting. So a lot of her students are younger, but even though it's not necessarily already data, she is collecting it every day and using that to drive her instruction in the classroom and work on what her students need. We also have up here this photo. This is in one of our 5th grade classrooms, and if you're not familiar with it, it may look like a bunch of jargon. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but when you look across, each one of these topics is something that those students need. So they have a meet with me, which is where they're working one-on-one in that small group with the teacher. Then they may have another group working on a place value activity. Another group of students may be working on multiplication facts, or then we have iReady, because they have to have time in order to be on the program to pass those lessons. And as the, I think she does it every day, but they rotate through those centers, and that's part of the organization that makes that small group time work, is you have to have that in place in order for those kids to fluidly move from center to center. And then up here we have some more of our other centers in the classroom, kindergarten. This is a 4th and 5th grade group. But I feel like we all really, we're striving to have good, strong, small group intervention taking place in the classroom. Another focus that Mrs. Bowling mentioned was our writing focus. At our school, we use the SRSD Releasing Writers program. And this is a writing sample. We turn in weekly writing samples, and this is a 1st or 2nd grade student, and you can see that her writing is highlighted. That is a strategy that goes back to that SRSD. We started that with our older students, and we have filtered it down to our younger students, so that way in the lower grades they're building that foundation to become more efficient writers as they get older. And then the PowerRev, that's just some examples. That's the, I guess you would say, what is that called?
Acrostic, the simple way to solve it.
What is that, an anagram? No? Anagram?
Acronym.
There you go. Acronym. And then we have some just different examples of differentiation. We use our specials teachers in small groups. Like Mr. Boyd, he's our gym teacher, working with a small group, working on their individual sight word tracking cards. And then this is in art. This is our art classroom utilizing small group centers. This is a 1st grade classroom. So not only do we have a center officially being done in art, but we also have some of our autism students working with the 1st grade classroom in the center in art. And so I'm going to let Mr. Hess talk for just a moment about some of the exciting things he's doing with his class.
Good morning, you guys. If you guys don't know me, I'm Alex Hess. I'm the pull-out special ed teacher at Amstead, which is, I knew that I'm not the only one, and that's exciting. So the first thing, my students have to thrive on routine and needs to be constantly engaged, as you know, with the special education population. With the help of conversation with Miss Gandy, Miss Bowling right there, we have created a binder for each of my students. I'm going to show you guys examples in a second. I have brought a few for you to look at. We are just starting to implement this in the 2nd semester. Using the iReady prerequisite report, we build on the binder for each for the math group. Let me pull out some of the math ones so I can show you guys. So, and if you guys don't know me, I'm a huge Wizard of Oz fan. So my students, on Monday, this is the Emerald City. Okay, and then they would do this on Monday. Tuesday would be Toto, and then they do all of this work. Alright? And this is the older kids. I'm going to show you guys a younger kid in a second. Alright? And then Thursday is word problem, because some of my students, and this is a more visual word problem, as you guys can see. And then Friday is kind of like if they know like the multiplication and all that. I'm going to show you guys one of my younger kids, especially because like I said, I'm just starting to implement it. And this student right now is probably one student that you got to have engaged all the time. Okay. So on Monday we didn't do that because Monday was crazy. And then on Tuesday he did this with the touch math, and then he draw down, colored. He was engaged, and I could help other students as needed. Okay. And then now for the reading binders were developed for extra practice. My kids use the Edmore or Wilson. So for these ones, okay. Okay, so then this one would be, just like we talked about, this one would be Monday. Okay, for them with city. Okay, and then has the word has, so they're all building off of the same concept. Okay, Tuesday, let's see, okay, and this is all what they'll be doing independently while I'm charting or small groups, yes, okay. And then after we complete our benchmark assignments, I will do goals and get again with each of the students, and we're hoping that this can help my students grow, because I believe, and I know Ms. Baldwin as well, they can go up.
So we talked a lot about data and the different ways that we gather data, but another, really, it's kind of pointless if you don't share that with your students. So one thing that we've tried to do are data talks, and we have tried to make sure that our students are aware of what their data is, they know what their test scores mean. We work on goal setting, and that way our students, they know what they need to meet for the next benchmark. And today we were able to finish one of our middle of the year benchmarks, and we had students that typically would not care about grades, and as soon as they were finished, they're like, can you see my scores? Can you see what I made? And so they knew going into it what they needed. And we had one, he was tickled to death that he met his goals, because that's not typically something that had happened in the past. So not only do we we're looking at data and utilizing it, but we're making sure our students are aware of it as well. And then I'm going to let Ms. Bulling talk about relationship.
So we all know that academics is our focus, but before academics can go far, I know that Ms. Whitlock always says we have to build those relationships. And that's something that we've always done that at Ames Elementary, but this year we had a new classroom and new students, just a rotational, and we had to learn each of those kids. And I'm going to have Ms. Ham team up. There's just a few snapshots, but a snapshot is one of our students encouraging one of our self-contained with a puzzle. Miss Rachel, Deputy Rachel, you guys, I don't know if she's here, but Deputy Rachel has built relationships with our kids. She has fostered this love that everyone is excited for her to be there. She's even participating in our 12 days of reading, bringing the snack, reading to our first and second graders for a student. And in this picture still gets me choked up.
That day, that one little boy with the headphones, he did not want to go out for recess. So I believe Ms. Bowling and I probably worked with him for a good 45 minutes to try to get him to go out. We finally transitioned him outside, and he went to the gate to go into the playground. And the little boy that has his arm on him came up to him and asked him if he was okay.
It's okay. He said, it's okay. I'm here. Look at me. You're safe. All the things that we have said, all these people are shaking because everyone has seen that. They've been in their classroom. But all the strategies that we have poured into him since pre-K, this was with permission to share, until now, he was able to give that to another student. And from that day, because it every day was a recess battle. It was a transition. Went from an hour and 45 minutes to actually this little boy making the difference. And then the next day it was, hey, why don't you show him some more friends? And he took his box and showed his friends. And so there's a group. Now, because it's indoor recess, you can't. But relationship matters. Those skills, and all of us were just, he got out of my prize box and he ripped it clean. But all those investments, it matters. And so that brings me to Ms. Ham about the challenges to address mental health and wraparound services.
So the challenges. Okay, this is okay. All right, all right, so this is our data for Anstead. We have had, since the beginning of the school year, 683 student support team referrals. And that would be for any thing from absences to behavior, family, social, any need that the crisis, yes, any need that the teacher feels like, teachers, admin, if we feel like they need that. We've had 48 crisis responses, and a lot of that was at the beginning of the year. We still have some, but when we were getting used to that new classroom, the autism room, and some of our new students, so we needed to make sure we had those supports in place. So teachers radio for us if they need us. They have our cell phone numbers. They can text us whenever, and we respond. We have done 6 risk assessments. Of those, 3 were for suicidal statements, and 3 were for threats to others. We've completed 10 home visits and 46. I've done 46 social emotional learning lessons within the classroom. And one of those lessons was to address making threats, handling anger appropriately, bullying, that kind of thing. And then,
I take care of the students at Anstead, and our attendance rate is really good. We rarely have a class every month that isn't above, or that isn't below 92%. I think is the lowest it's been. So our attendance rate is right now is 95.09%, and with our chronically absent rate is 14.04%, which is really good because I know we try to keep it under 15%. And with those kids, we do. With the kids that are chronically absent, we try to figure out why they're chronically absent. If they're sick, if they need chronically absent medical form, if they live somewhere where they can't get there, if the bus doesn't run, things like that. Make contact with the parents, home visits, while constantly on the phone. And then we do our monthly attendance exam for the kids who need to attend.
and those are some of the pictures from some.
Yeah. They've done, all kinds of fun stuff.
The challenges, we do have some children in foster care. As of now, though, we only have one. We had several, and one of
They've all left.
They've left, and one of the children in foster care that went back home, he was one of our kids we had a lot of challenges with because of trauma he experienced. And then kinship, we have a lot of kids that live with grandparents, or other family members. Disruptive behaviors, that kind of goes back to the self-regulation. So we work on those self-regulation skills a lot with our kiddos in lessons and one-on-ones. And then at the beginning of the year, lack of consistent staff in autism room. That was with our teacher, so we had a lot of guardians, our aides.
But that's much better.
Miss Bonanno is awesome, we love her.
And the aides are great.
Yes.
And we don't get called in there nearly as much as we used to. And plus, we've got to know our kids better,
Yes,
too, so we know how to handle
we can
them.
read them and we can help them self-regulate a lot better. And then resources we're using, we have Ms. Katie Janey from Raynell Medical Center. She's our behavioral therapist. She's with us Mondays and Tuesdays, and right now she sees 14 of our students, which is really great. She's a great resource for us. And then Fayette Prevention Coalition this year has started the Too Good for Drugs program and the Catch My Breath.
And the next slide is what's being done at the school to improve the climate and culture of employees, students, community, and parents.
Right, because I know we're running short on time. So, really quickly, our staff, ways to try and build a more positive climate culture at our school. We do a lot of activities with our staff. We've exchanged boo baskets. We did a Christmas cookie exchange. We have a wonderful group of ladies called the We Care Ladies who are always willing to help and support, whether it's making us a snack when we have to stay after school or, packing goodie bags for our students for some sort of activity. They're fantastic. APAC you'll hear from very shortly. We have a school climate culture committee that works really hard to prepare these events and make sure that everybody feels encouraged and welcome. Our curriculum specialist is Miss Gandy and Miss Bowling. They are wonderful to offer support in whatever ways we might need. And our staff, I think, has really worked hard this year at being able to not only ask for help, but to accept help when it's given. It's very difficult, I think, as teachers to do that. So that's something that we're working towards. And then we review and share out the climate and culture survey results that our ambassador at our school gets. And we're able to use those results to try to brainstorm strategies to fix things that maybe aren't going so great. And part of that is we have a Thursday Thoughts survey that goes out every single Thursday. It's very short and sweet. Participate in it if you want to, but it's a very simple way to get your thoughts out there so that they can be heard. Our students, we have a Student of the Month program. We also have a Citizenship Award every 9 weeks. Student of the Month, it is not always your best and your brightest. There are no reasons, you don't have to give a specific reason for choosing that student. So it could be that this kid has been awful all year long and maybe he had a great month, so that month he gets it. And that's very exciting because you see kids earning that probably would have never gotten it before. Attendance incentives, and then our goal setting and our celebrations are some ways that we're trying to encourage our students. Ms. Bull.
And the communities and partners, this is just a snapshot of different people. And WVU Tech has been a great partner for us. We have a nurse, was a nursing assistant. She's done lessons. Once again, Rachel, I put her to work, so she has made all kinds of centers for us. The Bus of the Bus, Arch Cole, Brothers of the Wheel, a business that remains anonymous, Maggie's Pub to give Christmas to our kids. The partnership with WVU Tech, which Mr. Matthew Bradford, he actually started our school with volunteer. If you know me, I like people to come to my school and to help out and volunteer. So Matthew Bradford proposed an idea for me. We're running with it, and he's just going to do a quick snapshot to you guys to see what's coming. And actually, Mr. Hogue, you're part of the thankfulness of actually what he's doing.
So just to give a quick snapshot, my name is Matthew Bradford. I'm a resident in Fayetteville. I graduated from Oak Hill, and I'm currently in my senior year at WVU Tech for a business major. I'm also an employee at Montgomery General Hospital. I've been there for 4 years now, and that's really a great place. It's a community hospital, and we're nonprofit, so everything we do goes back into the community. So recently we did a community needs assessment. It's kind of a requirement. They have highlighted problems within the community, and it can go statewide, really. So we have substance abuse, diabetes, and obesity. That is our 3 biggest issues. So to kind of address those issues, we've hired a diabetic educator. She's a nurse practitioner at the hospital, and she trained to be a diabetic educator. So they hold adult nutritional education meetings. So we are also right above Valley Pre-K through 8. So I kind of wanted to gear an idea towards reaching children and addressing nutritional issues where they begin. So our idea, and it's still in the works, is to, and I presented it to Debbie Hill, she's the CEO of the hospital, she's on board. We have a grant from Aetna Health that we can use towards educational needs, so we can purchase whatever we need, materials. But the idea is that we want to use our diabetic educator, some of Ms. Boland's staff. She's been great. I presented the idea with her, and she was on board with everything. So I'd like to start with Anstead and introduce the idea there, utilize her staff, counselors, nurses, and some of the pediatrics teams at Montgomery General Hospital to make a fun, interactive, nutritional learning program for students where they can learn how to help in the kitchen, learn about healthy foods, all these things that kind of go towards the West Virginia education standards for health and wellness, while also addressing a very big topic in the state of West Virginia. So thank you.
And that was because of a volunteer opportunity with him from WU Tech, and it bridged into conversations. He spent a whole day during Christmas break helping me. So
she's been a lot of help with ideas and everything too. So
it's been a great conversation. So I told him he was on LSIC. Now, to close our presentation is one thing that I am so proud of is, of course, our parent support and our organization. But APAC, there's Miss Christy, Chris, and Shay, our Miss Shay. You want to take it away, Christy?
Okay, for those that don't know me, I'm Christy Chris. I'm president of APAC with Anstead Elementary. I'm also involved throughout the community. My kids are in it, my nose is in it. That's just the way it works. My favorite title is being the mother of Jackson and Ella. My friend Shay, she's my partner in crime. She's my ride or die. She has no choice. She's the treasurer for APAC. She is also in multiple disciplines within the community, from starting a soccer league because she was bored, and everything else she does. But she is the proud mother of Lainey, Charlie, and Grayson. So APAC, we started last year after COVID. You know, everything kind of got distanced. It was kind of the kids and teachers and parents over here observing. And so we met one day for coffee, and we called it just an APAC refresh. We got together, we discussed, we had a couple parents show up, and the one thing we heard over and over is, we want with our kids. We want back involved with the schools. So we got a plan, we started this year. Last year I had around 30 people that assisted with Teacher Appreciation Day. We love our teachers, and we're very thankful for Ms. Bowling and all of them, genuinely. They have our children more in a day's time than we do, so it's got to go well. The parents, when we first started out, we had about 30 people. This year, we turned out to 45 involved.
Wow.
At a school of 160 with 45 engaged parents, I'm very proud. I'm very proud of that. We have monthly meetings. We try to do them every other month to make sure that they are very productive. One of the things that we've gone over has been school safety, when all that stuff started with the new resource officer, explaining why we have to have background checks. You know, some of our parents live in a wonderful world, and they don't understand some of the other things that happen. And so, you know, we all get together, discuss, and help everybody understand. As parents, a group of parents with assistance from Ms. Bowling. We went over the new attendance policies, one-on-one if they have instruction, and we now have, at our meetings, we usually have, 15 or 20 that show up. That's huge. They're ambassadors with the message, because they all going home on that Facebook. Send messages, calling, did you hear? Well, I know all about that. Okay, that works. So we went over a parent website. I had, us moms talk in our groups. Kids have issues. This is a free website that we didn't even know about until we went to the Parental Advisory Council. That's been very valuable from them going over the time our kids spend on screens, screen time on iPads, to discussing neuropaths with music instruments. And we've been able to carry that message back to the 15, 20 in our meetings and the 45 in our groups. We had a Scholastic Book Fair recent that we fully staffed with parents. The educators got to stick to educating while we were helping raise money with APAC. APAC also, our next goals are going to be to discuss committees. We're going to start narrowing it down and getting focus areas within our group. We have an event every year. I don't know if you guys have heard, but it's a big deal in our town. It's the Christmas presentation. And we had it was just a couple hundred people, ladies, couple hundred came to the community center to see these kids sing. And our teachers, on their time, they came out and they love our kids that much to come out and be there with them. And APAC got to assist with popcorn and hot cocoa for every kid to take home with their family. One of the things Marshall pushes is family, from gingerbread houses or whatever. But she wants that family time, and we try to help them with that. We've discussed iReady reading. That was one of the things that we went over in Parental Advisory Council. They mentioned intervention earlier. Okay, so my kid is in kindergarten. I'm the new mom. And there was a kid that had trouble, and he's like, yeah, I got intervention with so-and-so at such and such today. And I'm like, wait, what is intervention? I'm like, what do you mean intervention with who? What? come to find out it's a small group of kids that from multiple levels that get together, learn from each other and teach each other, mentor, learn leadership. And after I learned what it was, I was like, okay, we're good. I text Shay, I'm like, Shay, what is intervention? So, but in the end of the day, the one thing that we drive home with our parents and the involvement is the most successful schools are the ones where the parents and the educators have a collaborative effort, where we're working together. Your attendance will improve, your self-esteem, your children's self-esteem will improve, and their level of education will improve. If the parents are involved, they're going to do what the parents want them to do, okay? And lastly, I have to bring up a retirement subject of Mr. Hogue over there. I would just like to say thank you for your dedication to the many, many children of Fayette County, and I'm sure other places. But I've had the blessing of being involved with the athletic stuff that you, I mean, the athletic complexes that we're going to have coming from your legacy and so forth. And with regards to, I cannot wait for the playground. We all know I'm on that playground, right?
We got it too. We got the money.
I got witnesses. I got witnesses. But this is very important to me. I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, so I'm here for the long haul. You guys are going to be seeing me for a while, okay? And so I'm very excited that my children are going to get to enjoy and the fruits of your labor, okay? So thank you. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Bowling.
And I'm the proud principal that's trying not to talk this whole time, and Ann's Elementary. Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, board members, any questions for our Anstead Elementary team?
Sorry. Thought you were saying.
I just have a quick comment.
Okay.
I'm trying to be quick. I'm going to be quick. Nice job with the presentation. And what I liked, what I saw was a focus on students and the kids and trying to help wherever help is needed. So kudos for that. And to the parents, where'd it go? I'm telling you, to have that many parents involved.
You guys are
is
doing
phenomenal.
something special.
And I hope that grows. And you have more parents than you have students in the building. So that is very important, to have our parents engaged with the school. If we have that, it's nothing but success. So thank you for doing that.
I'd like to make a comment
Thank you.
also. I really enjoy listening to how you all are using your data, how you're setting up your centers with the iReady stuff. But what I really liked was the fact that one of your students came and asked, "Can you tell me my scores?" So what you're doing, you're creating accountability. And that's something that we don't see a lot of today, especially with our students. But anytime you can create that, it shows a drive, it shows a commitment. And then the last thing was the students helping each other, that caring aspect, that wanting to work with each other and teach. You know, believe it or not, our kids learn sometimes a lot better from other students than they do from us. So that's remarkable how you all are using all those assets to get to where you want to get to. So great job, parent group, great job. I mean, fantastic what you guys are doing. Appreciate you.
I just have one, overall, everything that you said, everything that you do, I'm just overwhelmed and taking pictures of it. Thank you. The data is fine, the numbers are fine and important, but actually seeing people interacting and different age groups together and the boy helping the other boy.
Yes, that was
These things
fantastic.
Are so important for us to see. The one part that just kind of clicked in me a little bit that I think you need to not do better because you're doing fine, but you had a list of, like you said, you did 46 lessons in social emotional learning, you had a whole list, and then everybody said, so everything's much better. That's not data. So if you're doing 46 lessons for emotional, you need before data and after data, and did it affect your discipline? Did it affect your capacity to learn? Did it affect how the small groups work in iReady? Whatever. But anytime you say, we've done this and this and this, and it's much better, you've got to, you don't have to prove it to me, but in order to follow through with support, financial and otherwise, you have to make sure that you're following the script as far as, okay, before we had this problem and we did this, and now we don't have it anymore.
And a few
So-
of those, Ms. Williams, you would be able to see if you look into their logs of
Okay,
those pieces. We just didn't share all those
That's
pieces
fine,
today.
that's fine.
But like the bullying or the threat assessments, some of those lessons that are targeted in that
Yes.
number would come from there. Or after our Friday meetings at 9, here's been a problem in that
Right,
week
right.
or that month, and then they make that lesson.
And it follows the child through up to the next school, and, you know,
And
I
maybe
mean.
not the lesson, but we'll have to get with, to see how we can do that.
Yeah, because that, especially, you know, if we didn't hear anything else that you said, and you had 2 kids in the category of suicide and risk, that's a huge, you know, a huge thing. And addressing it at the level you're addressing it, you're going to have a lot of adults, not these adults obviously, that are going to, oh, you don't bring it up because that'll make them do it. You know, there's some terrible information, misinformation about suicide and about screen time and how much time kids spend there and then end up in a suicidal ideation. So that it gave me chills when you said that at your age group, at that age, you're dealing with suicide. So it's,
It was actually, it was fifth grader.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a little older, and we do the suicide prevention training at the beginning of the year, and then we do the risk assessment, and then we call the parent or guardian, and then we refer them to our Rainbow
It's
Medical Center.
That's great.
unfortunate.
It is, it's
Well,
terrible.
I had one that was in
And what
Okay.
you see happen in a lot, you know, I've got health educators and we've got Prevention Coalition people, the idea that they do a SOS program for suicide. And what will happen is the kid himself or herself may not ask for help, but his friend will.
Right.
So I have one school in another county where my behavioral health person has 100 in her caseload. 100% of those kids were referred by other kids or themselves.
Actually, one of mine was.
Yes,
I noticed.
so it's a real, that connection, that continuity that you guys have developed with your parents, with your special ed, with everything you've got going on is so important, and to keep it going on into the next school and then over here, so those kids don't get lost, especially the ones that you pick out at that age. Thank you, you did a great job.
I just, comment, I think, really stood out to me talking about the data talks. I want to echo Coach and Mr. Groom on the data talks. I think creating the conversation with the students, I think that's a great thing, a great program. I do wonder what a data talk maybe with parents, getting the conversation started with them, and you may do something like that. But I think, getting that conversation about achievement, it's like, how do our parents and students know what our targets are if we're not having something like that? So wonderful job,
Yes, yeah,
I
that's
think, with
great.
that. And we're making it competitive, making it fun. And then, I talk about this, a lot during our regular board meetings and our LSIC meetings, but the community engagement, just wonderful job.
Yes.
Attendance, social well-being, that equals achievement, and ultimately, it's all about our children, and that's, that is, echoes that tremendously. So, and I'm lucky actually enough to work on the same street as Anstead Elementary, so I see a lot of your community engagement and the good things that you guys are doing, especially during Halloween, so. The residents appreciate it, so.
All right, just a few comments. And I know, Ms. Bowling, you've worked really since you've been at Anstead Elementary on community partnerships, right? And Anstead doesn't have a lot of partners to engage, but you do a great job finding partners. And so your partnership with Montgomery General Hospital, that sounds great. And So I know you've done a lot of work there. Your climate and culture, you hear me talk about that constantly, don't you? So,
And there's always room for improvement, but for the partnerships, I think a couple of us have it on the back, but it says the partners of our school. From Run to the Wall to each month person, it's on the back, but we can always get better. And that's what we're going to strive to get better in different pieces. But I appreciate all the comments and questions.
Good job.
Good job.
We'll definitely get some answers.
but your climate and culture, I see you working on it. I see you really trying to address it across all the spectrum, right? Not just staff, but students and parents. And to hear Christy talk about APAC and having the number of participants that you have.
That's
and
fantastic.
One thing that you stated is that when new things come into the school, right? You talked about the security validations that we do, right? That's exciting. It's stuff to keep our kids safe, but not every parent understands that. And we could sit here and talk about it all day, and some parents will still not understand what we're trying to say. So to hear it come from peers and other parents helps to bring that message in. So that collaboration is great. So I'm glad to see all that work that's being done too. So thank you.
Thank you for that.
So, Mr. Joe?
Number one, I do appreciate all the work that's being done. No, that's okay. You're fine right there, Marshall. You don't need to love my I'm not going to ask you any questions to trip you up, don't worry. I am very thankful for all the work that's being done to address the academic achievement, what you're doing to hold the students accountable, families accountable, and to do a good job of differentiation and good instruction. The part that I'm going to go back and reiterate what Pat said, I think I even had this conversation today. A lot has to do with parent understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. So, the work that you're doing as parents to spread that word, and you're absolutely right, Christy, when you make the statement that social media can be, it can be a winner for us or it could be a loser for us.
That's right.
And the more we educate, I even have dealt with over the years, I had these two educators, or three now, live in my household. One was kind of off on his own, my son. But my daughter and my wife, for periods of time, I was living with them when tough decisions had to be made in my role, whether it was a director or as a principal or as a associate superintendent, whatever it may be. And they didn't always understand the global picture until I explained that issue to them. So to get that message out the way you're getting it out and having the parents involved, not just doing the great things for kids and teachers at the school setting, and that's extremely important, but the message that goes out to the community as to why we're doing what we're doing and what are the circumstances surrounding it, that is so valuable to us. And be assured that we're going to have a bid on the new school here in another 2 weeks. Let me just clarify that to you. Bid on the new school. Actually, groundwork on the rest of the athletic complex. Groundwork is, we're going to be moving equipment in here in another 2-3 weeks right now. So all kind of things are moving forward. I'm excited about that, and maybe you'll let me come back and take a look at it when we get it done. So I'm very appreciative of that. Very appreciative of the team I work with. They do an outstanding job, our board and the team I work with, so thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Don't forget the playground.
Thank you, Ms. Bowling.
See Miss Chris sliding down the slides.
All right, Ms. Hitchcock, I think we're ready for divide.
If I slid down the slide, Joby, they may not be able to get back up.
I want to see Miss Chris going down that slide. Thank you.
These are just our meeting, and then also
Thank
just
you.
look down, you can look through.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Copy
you.
of our presentation.
If you are for divide, if you don't care to stand up so I can introduce everybody. Myself, I'm Shannon Hitchcock, principal. So we have, they'll come up and talk to you. So we've got, of course, Ms. Ham and Ms. Ellswick, who are our social worker counselor that we also share with Hampstead. So they'll present just a little bit. We've got Ms. Jackson, who is a 4th grade, 5th grade teacher. And then Ms. Claren, who is an 8, but she also is a site coordinator for our Save the Children After School program. So I will let Ms. Ham and Ms. Ellswick start us off. They're going to talk to Ms. Ellswick and how we address that at Divide Elementary. You got the wrong number. You got the wrong number.
Sure.
Okay, so we have 160 student support service, student support team referrals this year. Again, they kind of for the same thing, behaviors, absenteeism, social, emotional.
I don't think too people realize the volume of referrals that we actually get. Because she and I are split between the schools, only one of us is there every other day. So one of us is always at one of the schools. So that is a challenge for us sometimes, but I think we do a pretty good job. Anytime a kid is referred to us, we see them. I mean, we see them that day. We take care of it immediately. Whether it's her, whether it's me, whichever one else is there, we deal with it. So I just want y'all to understand, like, 460 referrals in a school with less than 200 kids, I mean, that's a lot of referrals.
Yeah.
Just between.
That's too many for them.
And then we have our right now medical therapist, Miss Janie. She is with us at Divide 1 day a week as well. She sees some of our kiddos. We have crisis response, so we respond. If a teacher calls, we respond to those classroom situations. And I can't remember the exact number we had.
The crisis response, we did 44 crisis response. And those are the ones where a teacher has called and said, hey, I need your help right now in my classroom. And either, we go in, assess the situation, and do whatever needs to be done. We remove the top of the classroom, we remove the other kids from the classroom, we sit with the child, just in the classroom, just provide support, things like that, to get them to where they can be transitioned back into class safety for everybody. And that's 44. I mean, we do have a behavior classroom at Divide too.
We do.
And a lot of them do come from there.
And we do have, and our behaviors have improved. We had 2 kiddos that had behavior plans last year that actually we were able to discontinue this year because their behaviors have improved. And we have another student who has a behavior plan currently, but his behaviors have improved as well. He had daily check-ins, and now it's like weekly check-ins because he's self-regulated much better. And then social emotional learning, I've done lessons at Divide as well, so I've provided 36 lessons there. And then a lot of the lessons at both schools, but it's based on, I talk to my teachers to see what needs. So it could be bullying, it could be handling their anger, whatever it be. And then a lot of times they'll refer kiddos from there for individual attention if I need to follow up with that. And then tier 3 behaviors, that's more, those are our check-in kiddos.
We have several of those. We have one child we check on 3 times a day, morning, midday, and afternoon. Just to remind them about their goals, how their goals are going, if they met their goals for the day.
Like self-regulation.
Right. And then we have other kids that we check in with every day, some we check with twice a week. And the behaviors up the way. I think the teachers will agree when we are doing those check-ins, the behaviors decrease much better.
Right. They're able to manage and focus.
Yeah.
And then we have the 2 Good for Drugs, which is pay attention position as well, and catch my breath with our 4th and 5th graders. So teacher support is more.
Yeah, it's really important for us for teachers to feel like we support them, like we're there for them, we're there to help them with their classrooms, with the kids, just to help them with whatever they need to make their day easier, really. I mean, it's hard, they can't deal with behavior kid who's, throwing things at everybody and teach the rest of the class. So we always try to make sure the teachers, we try to go out of our way to make sure teachers know we're there for them too. And they come to us to talk, and that's fine. I mean, that's just what we're there for.
Right. And we check on with our teachers.
Yes, they know they can call. They can call us anytime. They have our phone numbers. I mean, we have our walkies all the time, email. I mean, we can always be found.
Right.
We're accessible at all times.
And we didn't mention, but that's at both schools, so we pretty much are available to
everybody.
And then home visits we've done.
We haven't done too many at Divide yet, but we don't have them, like most of ours are with attendance. But our attendance rate at Divide right now is 95.09%, which is excellent. So most of those, I think we've only done 4 honestly. Most of those are just really to get, excuses, medical records, stuff like that.
And then data, you could, I feel like this one data would support this with us providing the lessons and the support to the students and the teachers that discipline referrals decrease.
And I do feel like too, at our school, both schools really, that discipline is handled like on the spot. It's not put off, it's not, pushed under the rug, I'm going to dealt with, and it's done. And I really think that's effective, because I've worked other places where it wasn't like that, and it was a much bigger problem. But I feel like, for the most part, our kids are very well behaved. But I think they know there are consequences, like immediately, too.
And I know we're kind of go back and forth. It's kind of hard to because we're at both schools, it's hard to talk about one or the other, but I agree with that. And then I also need to say, and it's about both my principals, Ms. Bowling and Ms. Hitchcock, they are awesome. If we need them, they are there. Like, sometimes they always get there.
They always
Thank
get
you.
phone, they always
We
get
appreciate that.
radio.
Yeah.
I mean, I never have to worry about if I'm going to be able to get in touch with you guys together. So,
Great, thank you.
All right, so before I jump into student achievement, you're probably going to hear me repeat some of the stuff that Anstead has said, but I think that's a great representation to show, like we said, in a few years we will be consolidating, and we're already doing a lot of things similar. And that goes back to our core beliefs at each school, which is to make sure that our kids succeed. So you're going to hear some of the things as I talk, you know, and you're like, oh, I heard Anstead say that, but we're also doing it too, so that's just great. So this is our data, K2 data for ELA. We've only been able to give the beginning of the year iReady right now. We're in the middle of giving the middle of the year, so you won't be able to see a comparison yet. So just wanted to throw those numbers up there to you and notice that we didn't have kiddos in kindergarten starting in the red. They jumped to the yellow, which was great. And we actually had some that were already 11% on green. Our first grade, you will also notice the same thing, didn't have our kiddos in red. We actually had 100% in yellow. So I'm interested to see how they moved into that green, hopeful. And in second grade, we did have 46%, and then we also already had 38 in yellow and 16% already that were either on grade level or above, a couple grade levels above. So that's our ELA data for K2. That's great. And that was beginning of the year. We tested them the first 15 days of school, so just keep that in mind. This was our math K2 data. So we had 0% in red again. We've got 93% that were in yellow, and we had 7% that were 2 grade levels above already in kindergarten. For first grade, we had 0 in the 2 grade levels below. We had 27% that were a grade level below, and then 73 that were in that middle range. They were almost there. And then this is second grade as well, so you'll notice I already had 4% within the first 15, you know, that are there, probably like 1 or 2 kiddos, and we had a good bit of them right here in yellow. So very interested to see that middle of the year data and see them shift. Yeah. You can go to the next one. So in 3rd through 5th grade, we were able to give the middle of the year, so you can see the comparison from beginning of the year. So this is the beginning of the year line to their middle of the year results. So in 3rd grade, for ELA, you'll see we had 19% that were 2 grade levels above, and we decreased that to 3%. So that means they shifted. And then here you'll see we went from 29 that was here, but that number also decreased, so we shift them. Then we started at 26%, and it did raise a little bit, but that's probably because these guys moved into that category. So we're seeing those shifts. You can also see it in 4th grade as well. So started out at 34%, now we've decreased it to 16%. So you can keep seeing those shifts. I won't go into all the numbers, but you do have the data if you want to see it for your PowerPoint. So we're seeing that movement and that progress, so that's a good thing. Go ahead and go next. And then you have the same for 3rd through 5th math as well. So again, you could compare the numbers and see that we are shifting our kiddos. Math is always, I feel like, a little tricky because some of the standards they haven't got to yet, you know, because math is kind of hierarchy compared to reading is a little more, comprehensive, and they kind of work on skills. It's just the complexity of the text that gets a little harder. So even though math you won't see as big of gains, you know, that's middle of the year, and we're going to keep working towards that. So what we do at Divide, you can go to the next slide. We first, of course, focus on the science of reading implementation. So we have the county that gives us our PD, and then from there, our teachers will do that PD together in PLC times. And then we wrap back around as a staff to hone in on that and actually talk as a staff on what do you do in your classroom? What do you do in your classroom? So we have that collaboration where they can share ideas together. We're very big on collaboration, and 2 heads are better than 1, and what you're doing in your classroom is great, so let me see what that looks like, and doing peer visits and stuff like that as well. We have intervention plans, so you'll hear intervention. So we have group interventions in which kids are grouped alike, but we also have individualized intervention plans in which we target those kids that are our red kids and our yellow kids, and we really hone in. And we also have data talks with them, so the students have a data folder in which they track their already lessons, and they also have conferences with the teacher in which they will give them a grow, which means something that they need to work on. And then they give them a glow, something that they did really good on. And we've also shared that too with our staff that they'll talk about later at our luncheon, or our parents, sorry. Our staff will share with our parents at our luncheon lead that they'll talk about in a little bit for culture climate. We also do centers during MTSS time as well to hit those skill deficits, what we're seeing in Tier 1, and how many kids are getting in Tier 1, which ones we can hit at intervention time and hit that in Tier 2. We, last year, took our writing standards and we looked K through 5, and we developed a school-wide writing framework in which we built on it each year and what the expectations were. We met as a whole team and did that. So we're just honing in on that again this year. So you noticed I said reviewed it at the beginning of the year, made sure those things are happening because we built it last year. We're just making sure we're keeping that process going. So we'll have PLCs as well in which we'll meet and talk about things that are going well and things that we need to work on when it comes to writing. We have intentional planning during PLCs. So we make sure that we have a purpose. And the teams will meet, K2 usually meets so that they can talk the primary world, and then 3-5 meets, but we also have whole group ones as well in which we talk about what the whole school can work on. I already talked about teacher peer visits. Not only with iReady, we also use the QPS in K2, which is a phonics screener, quick phonics screener to see where their phonics deficits are. And we use the 95% phonics lessons. We have Title I that uses that. We have classroom teachers that uses that, and aides to really drill into that phonics, because once we can get those skills cleaned up and the kiddos can be able to read, we can move into comprehension then, of course. So trying to get that barrier out of the way when it comes to phonics. And 3-5, they use the IMAs as well, because that is very much related to what the GSA is expected. So they see that in that format. We're using that format. A lot of times it's just a tech thing when it comes to it. The kids know the material. It's just they need that exposure so they know how it's asked. So yeah, that's what we're doing basically to attack student achievement. So next slide. Oh, sorry, I forgot about this part too. So one of the things that we do is we implemented it last year in the spring, and the kids really enjoyed it and really grasped it. So we've carried it into this year. So we call them reading and math ninjas. So we do this pre-K through 5th grade. And so each grade level has a certain expectation that they get to move through ninja belts. And then once they meet those little ninja belts, they get brag tags that they get to put on their backpacks or their zippers or whatever. And they're super excited to share that with each other. They're like, oh, I am a purple ninja, or I am an orange ninja, what are you? And they share their tags and stuff like that. So that's one of our motivational things that we do in each grade level. Like I said, it's pre-K through 5. They get to work towards their ninja belts. So they're very motivated by that. Okay. I think next is climate culture, so I'll let Ms. Jackson come up and tell you what we do there.
Hi, I'm Ms. Jackson. I'm the 4th split teacher. I'm also the climate and culture ambassador at our school. So to address climate and culture with the teachers at our school, we, like Ms. Hedgehoff was saying, we have really strong PLCs, and at our PLCs, we always come together and we create cohesive plans. And so one of those cohesive plans was our mission statement and our vision statement, which was something that the entire school came together and created. Just like we came together and we created our writing plan to span all of the grades. Just like we came together and work on all of our PLCs. We have really strong PLCs at our school. And during that time, the teachers are always able to collaborate and communicate with each other and share what's going on in our classrooms and with our students. So you can go to the next slide. So to encourage and create participation with parents, one of the things that we do are the student luncheon leads. So during the student luncheon lead, parents come in and they have lunch with the kiddos. So they get to go into the cafeteria and have lunch. They sit down. They get to meet their friends and sit down and have that same experience with their kids. And then their kids get to bring their parents back into the classroom with them. So the parents get to see the kids' classroom and the kiddo. This is a student-led activity, so the children get to lead their parents through an activity. They get to show them the classroom. They get to show them work that they're really proud of. And just like Ms. Hedgecock was saying, they can, at that time, show their parents their data folders, and that's a really great opportunity for the teachers to be able to share with the parents what is going on with their data. If they have any questions about any of that, we get to give them that exposure and talk to them at that time. Other activities we do are the data talks with parents with the CIA data. Parents are welcome to come into the school, and they are able to sit down with the teachers and met Ms. Hedgecock to talk about their students' data for that. Next, to encourage more communication with parents, we also use Class Dojo, and I think a lot of other schools in the county also use Class Dojo, but it creates a really cohesive way to communicate student behaviors and student and just be able to create a pathway for teachers to be able to communicate seamlessly with parents. Through Class Dojo, we are able to create incentives for the kids, and they're always really excited about that. We get to post pictures in Class Dojo for parents to see what they're doing, and at the end of every month, we have our Monster of the Month, and one of the kiddos gets called up from each classroom. We call up one of our kiddos, and they get to be the Monster of the Month. They get a gift card for that month, and that's just a great incentive for them. They're always super excited. They get to come back and be like, I got Monster of the Month. I never got this before. They're always really excited about that. We also have our class and school attendance incentives, which the kids are always really excited to do. And we have really good attendance at our school usually, so that's nice because it's kind of like the whole school kind of gets to celebrate together. And then our family monthly mission, I think Ms. Angel is going to talk about that with Save the Children. Thank you.
So our family monthly mission, what that is every month we send home a little thing that they have to do with their families. We did a disguise a turkey. They did a disguise a gingerbread man. Last year we did Frosty the Snowman. And it gives the parents time to sit down with their kids, talk about their day, do the lesson together. They get to do all the crafts and everything, and then we display it throughout the school. So then whenever their parents come in for like the lunch and leave and things, they get to see them, and the kids get to go, hey mom, hey dad, this one's mine, this is my friend's, and they get to compare. With that, last year we did, we did the Frosty one. Wendy's gave us junior Frosties to give to every kid, anyone that participated. We also have McDonald's helps us and gives us like free Happy Meals and things like that for them too. Save the Children, we call it Dingo Academy for after school. So then kids aren't feeling like they're in school longer, they feel like they're part of a great club. So one of our things this year is we kicked off with a reading night. It was s'mores themed, so you can see them with their campfire and their camp chairs. They got to make some crafts, they read some books, and they got to take those books home. And it showed the parents how they can read in different ways with the kids. We used flashlights so they could, build themselves a teepee and then a flashlight, and the family just cozied up together while they're doing it.
I think I did that when I was little.
They loved it, and the parents had fun. We also, we did a sock drive and Christmas cards and ornaments that they all made for the Anstead Center down in Anstead, the nursing home. So they made them, each resident got a Christmas card, an ornament to put on the tree, and a nice pair of socks. I think we raised over 80, and I think there's 66 at nursing home. So any extras, we just threw it on there too. We also did a paint night with Miss Lively, which I believe is sitting over there. She came and did a paint and sip with the kids. So right before Christmas break, they came in and they painted little gingerbread men. And then they also got to taste test different holiday drinks like hot chocolate, apple cider, different things they might not get at home. So it got to expand their taste palette some. And you can see our reading tutor, Miss Trish. She's also the nurse here at Trail. This little one is Russell. He's brand new for us, and he would not participate in anything until Miss Trish finally sat down with him, and he really opened up, and now we can't get him to go back in that shower. But he has been great, and we are grateful for the tutors that we have that do get down on their level and get them to open up.
Amen.
We have a couple success stories, and I have 3 kiddos with me because they have come such a long way because of the after-school program. And they're going to talk a little bit about how their grades have improved, how their socializing has improved, and all the things that they really like about it. So I'm not going to talk much. I'm going to let them do all the talking. Rosanna.
In reading, when I struggle, my teacher helps she helps with us, and when we do book talks, and Mayon helps me read when from kindergarten to 6th grade level over 3 years. If we meet goals, we get to eye our teachers in the face.
That's all right.
In math, we play some games help us learn, like bottle and rhapsodies. We went from kindergarten to 3rd grade level over 3 years. When I struggle, our teacher helps us brain breaks, IEP accommodations.
So what are the accommodations we do for you?
They let me take breaks.
So Raven, when she is really at her wit's end with us, she gives us the thumbs up. We know that she's had enough. She needs a break. And so we try to give her that and then let her walk around and just calm down. And then she'll usually come back and finish what she's done. I know she talked a little fast. So in math, she, over the last 3 years of doing after school, has went from a kindergarten level to a 3rd grade level. So she has really improved. Her reading, we use STAR testing. We don't do the iReady. So with our STAR, she has went from kindergarten to 6th grade level. So we are really proud of her. When we first got her for after school, she really couldn't read much. And so she has gained that confidence.
That's great.
Thank you. Good job.
Good job.
Next up, I have Ryder.
Now I got thrown under the bus. In reading, I had a really low grade, 8. And because of Save the Children, it has went up to almost a B.
All right.
It's my C right now.
Go ahead.
And I also enjoy picking out what to read. It helps me with, I prefer to read what I want to read.
I'm with you, buddy.
And in math, I never liked it. I hated it. First subject ever. Until Save Children. Then it became, now it's one of my favorite subjects.
All right.
Still behind science.
Good.
And in Healthy Choices, it has encouraged me to eat healthier.
Oh, good.
And it has also helped with my ADHD.
Good.
I was not able to do Save the Children last year because my dad could not bring me, well, not bring me, but he could not come and pick me up from home. But now, because there's the extra bus run, it takes me straight to my house. And it has helped my grades a lot. And the teachers are really nice.
He's a cat, isn't he?
These really cool incentives and stuff like that. But to be honest, it's pretty fun.
All right. Very good.
Ryder also, when he first started, he did not talk to anyone. He kept to himself. And so he's another one that once we got him out of that shell, he will not.
Stay out with us, buddy.
Hello everyone, my name is Asher. In math, we do a tongue twister. I'm pretty sure it's helped me say a couple of words that I couldn't say last year. I'm going to say my favorite one is probably Two Terrible Turtles Turn 2.
Good one.
It's also helped with my grade scores go up from a first grade reader to a fourth grade reader.
Wow.
All right.
Only 3 months.
Wow,
Okay.
that's great.
What's his name?
Oh, sure. Something like
Also, my favorite books so far is fiction. My favorite one that I've seen yet is a paintball one that I read. For healthy choices, it has helped me with my shoulder pain and helped me run faster. Every time I run too fast, my hip right heel starts to hurt real bad.
Feel your pain, buddy.
It has also helped with almost all of my joints. And I also think that healthy choices, I think it's also helped me figure out a lot of dairy products. I can't think of any right now. At least know one that I did not know is made out of dairy. That is it.
All
These kids have come a long way. We were very proud of them. And I know Raven mentioned the pie in the face. They're only 2 books away from that goal. So I'm kind of hoping for their knowledge to be schooled more, so I don't get pie in the face tomorrow. That's been their whole goal. But that is all I have.
That's all we have is our presentation.
All right.
Any questions or anything?
Great job.
All right, board
You guys
members.
are doing good.
Any comments or questions?
You're doing a great job. Just keep up the good work.
I want to share with you guys, just so they don't hear, these are kiddos that started out really low, and they really made progress. Actually, one of our kiddos was a crisis kid that we had in second grade, and he's a fifth grader now, and the rider that went in the middle, and now he doesn't have a behavior plan. So we've made really big strides with these kids.
Yeah,
These kids
good
are now
job.
top things. These are ones that you can show us just really good invest on making sure that every kid succeeds. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah,
Keep
it's
up the
wonderful.
good work.
Okay.
Keep up the good work.
I'd like to
Good
say
job.
again, with ASD now with Divide, seeing the student focus of our school and how you're concerned about the children and that's how they're going to learn when you get to them as far as that goes. And another thing, you hear Ms. Hitchcock, talk about working on things, understanding the students will be working together and trying to prepare them for that as that happens. I think it's so important.
Yep.
And I know we all are excited to see that occur and get those students in an atmosphere together. They're in a great place now, and then you're going to bring them into hopefully a better place in the future. And so thank you all for that. And it's good to hear the work of our teachers, our parents. I tell you, it's going to be an exciting time coming up pretty soon. Exciting now, it's going to get even more exciting as we move forward, so thank you all.
Doing a great job.
And those students, phenomenal.
I could see that second young man. He's going to be on TV one day. And it's hopefully we have a drama department somewhere for him to get into drama, because I mean, he's got it.
I'd like to ask a question, Ms. Bowen and Ms. Hitchcock. I agree with your dad up with the discipline. I read an article today about, in our area, that the state, that a lot of the discipline issues in our kindergarten, and I see some things here, are concerning that you have to deal with. And I hope that with the help of the state level and then when you do the county level, as far as that goes, to address that issue. Well, we don't have them in a better place in kindergarten, they move on to the first grade and second. And we're going to have problems in the 5th and 6th and in high school, middle school. So we need to address it early. And I know you are, but for me to read that article today and again, noticing your data you shared with us, that's an area we got to address.
Right.
And so.
I think I appreciate our support team, and like I said, they work very closely with our teachers as well as me as the administrator. In the past, we've always dealt consequences, and I'm not saying consequences don't have their place, but when I meet with parents and I talk with them, I tell them, yeah, I can sit here and I can kick your kid out, but what's that gonna do? Like, I'm here to change the behavior, and how we do that is we work as a team with teachers, our support team, administrators as well, so we can get the behaviors changed. And I think, like I said, we've seen success with that at the GOD. We have those 3 kiddos that have come off. I mean, those were kids that we were seeing big crisis in kindergarten and 1st grade, and now they're 4th and 5th graders, and they don't have to have a behavior plan. So.
And again, talking about the parents, you earlier, getting these parents involved somehow.
Right.
And taking some, they need to help.
Yeah.
And we need to help them help us.
Right.
So, again, I hope we're going in the right direction there. And I hope that gets corrected as we move forward, not just you, I mean, statewide.
Right.
Statewide. Thank you.
I think Coach he brought up a great point. Not everybody has to think about or is thinking about, the consolidation, joining for you and Ms. Bowling in a few years, and so that adds a little extra component. So wonderful foresight and leadership on both of your behalf to combine and think about that. So that was really great. I thought that the Reading and Math Ninja incentive was that program was great. That is something that would have definitely gotten me excited, going through school. I got to show what ninja belt I'm on. That's really awesome. I do want to thank you guys for the cards, the ornaments, and the gifts. The residents love those, and great community engagement. I thought you touched on a really great, sharing the data with the parents. I think I brought that up. That's wonderful. Again, I echo that. Like, how do the students and the parents know what our targets are if we're not sharing those? So that's great. Sharing that, making it a conversation, and making it a focus. It takes a village, and it's evident that you and Ms. Bowling are both making that a focus and making it a conversation. And then last but not least, I do hope that Raven, Ryder, and Asher, I hope that Ms. Hedgecock is also involved in this pie in the face thing. I don't know.
Listen, pie in the face was
Mr. Chris, it looks encouraging to be in school tomorrow. It looks encouraging. I think you're going to be in school tomorrow, Ange. Put that out.
So.
Maybe not on time.
Absolutely. There'll be evidence, I'm sure.
I'm getting some texts here. We're flowing back and forth now. That's what I'm actually answering.
It's supposed to be 5 degrees today.
So.
Maybe a delay, but they'll still get pie in the face.
And then to Ryder, I think your presentation, you might be well on your way to moving from that C to that B. I don't know if you're still in here or not. So, but.
So, just a few thoughts and questions. Ms. Jackson, you're one of our ambassadors for climate and culture, so we appreciate the work you're doing there and with the school on climate and culture, because it is very important. The Save the Children program, great examples of results. How many children do we have in that program?
As of right now, we have 26.
26, okay.
And they spread all the way from kindergarten to 8th grade.
Okay, great. And I think it was Asher that was talking about the joints. We can all relate to that up here. So those healthy choices are important for sure. And last but not least, maybe Mr. Hogue, you could help with that pie in the face tomorrow before he's gone. So.
We can find another tomorrow. We make it work.
I will make the statement. I do appreciate it. I appreciate both of our elementary schools and the direction they go. And Angel, I appreciate your commitment to an after-school program and doing that, and taking that responsibility on. Thank you for doing that, and your team that does that every day. Just a word. Sharon and I have been really impressed with the fact that even when I sat with you last year, you took the tools that we gave you and you're trying to find ways to use those. And you can remember the conversation we had in your office.
Yeah.
And I was able to reach out to the company and say, okay, we add these components to it because we had it for free, so that we can actually deal with matching the CSOs and mastery on those CSOs. So thank you. Your leadership there has been extremely strong. And so I thank you for that. I thank our mental health people for what they're doing every day with chasing down kids and trying to meet their needs and doing what they do. And nothing could have made it better tonight than the 3 students.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that. Sometimes when we sit day and day and day, and it's great when I hear from students. And I do want to tell you, I'm not even joking about that. Matt's been texting me back and forth. I'm not just looking at my text. He's getting information to me about what we're going to do tomorrow, so it looks encouraging. I just want to be real happy about that. I'm tied up until about 2:30 tomorrow. I do have my schedule.
Let's pick another day. We got plenty of time.
I was just saying, State Children goes till 5.
So,
We can get you in.
I probably have time between my haircut, no smart comments. Clyde, I know that's coming when I say haircut tomorrow at 4:30.
Do we need a board vote to get Mr. Hogue to this thing?
Coach has got a motion on the floor, so. All right, thank you, Ms. Hedgecock. All right, Mr. Pettit.
Clarify something. Mr. Hogue mentioned phone. I'm on my phone some. One thing I'm doing is adjusting my hearing aids. So I want you to know, I got an old guy that got hearing aids, and when those little children started talking, I had to make sure I could hear them. Now I'm going to turn it off because
I don't blame you, I would too. I would too.
That's why I want to say, I'm getting information from other superintendents around us.
people think they're being filmed, but they're playing games or something.
Yeah, that's why I want to clarify that. Just get information, other superintendents, what direction.
And maybe we can get that Mr. Chris over there too to go get a pie and stuff.
I don't know.
We'll even ask him if he can drive the truck without getting in trouble, man.
Well, we're going to turn him in. No, we aren't.
So before I really dig into what I shared there with you, I want to give you a little bit of, walk you back through the story of what we're trying to do here at Mill & Trail, and that's focus on PBL design. Oftentimes PBL can lead to projects that feel really good with not a whole lot of substance to it. But being an empowerment school and the work that we're doing with the PSAP class, and we're looking to add actually more at the high school level PBL courses, specifically English and social studies would be an amazing combination there. As we continue throughout this path, I kind of want to paint the picture for you today academically what that looks like for those of you that have not been able to see this in action. And also I want to invite and encourage you, if anytime you want to come and see that in action, to do so. When we first started this process, I can remember having a conversation with Mr. Christ, which I should have introduced everyone. I'll do that. I'll back up to that now. But I had a conversation with Mr. Christ and Dr. Kathy D'Antoni, who said, one day, folks are going to want to come and visit you. And, I mean, that seemed like, you know, a great fantasy of something that may possibly happen, but it didn't really sink in at the time. And then this school year, we had the opportunity to go to the Ventures on the Gorge. We were at an empowerment conference. We were there correct me where I'm wrong here, but we had schools from Kentucky, schools from Pennsylvania. I know I met one lady, spoke with her from Delaware. And these folks really turned into the 2-day session, really felt a lot like we were highlighting what Millen Trail is doing and the work that we've accomplished. And so much so I've had these schools reach out to find out what it is that we're doing, how we're doing it. So it's really encouraging to see the hard work that my staff has done and the buy-in the students have had through this process. So if you'll take a minute and look at the first 3 pages there I gave you. Even did it in color so Mr. Hope could read. But this is what we would call a PBL mapping. This is the very first thing that we started off this school year. We wanted to capitalize on a national issue. Typically we like to present problems to kids, and it felt very natural. We were in election season to introduce the election process to students. And ultimately the culminating activity for us was they were going to elect student council. And to walk you through what that may look like at a high school level, oftentimes student council elections result in popularity contests. But this time it did not. This time we had students that ran on issues. They went through a primary election process, narrowed down candidates, and then went through a general election process. And we were able to teach the election process to middle school students in real time, because that's what our country was also working through. So it was encouraging to see kids excited to actually discuss issues. It's a whole lot less encouraging when they're calling me or coming down to the office and emailing me and trying to hold me accountable to my job, because that's not what they're doing, because they feel they're elected by their peers and that things have to be accomplished. I say that in jest. Obviously, I'm excited that the kids have what they feel like is a voice to come down and have direct line conversations with the principal of the building. So, but to give you an idea, if you look at that quickly, you have 4 different subject areas. You have math, science, English, and social studies. And all of them take a portion of what that unit, in this particular case, which was the election process, and all of them have something, all course subjects have something they can contribute to the bigger picture. So for instance, I'm going to talk about math for a minute. Well, math, the kids went out and did polling. They talked about what polling looks like in social studies class. They talked about what bias polling looks like. They created some polls, some good questioning in their English courses. They were able to write argumentative essays. They then took the data of these polls of what was most important to the students at Millen Trail in that grade level, and candidates were able to form a platform and discuss how they would solve these issues that the students were bringing to the table to say that they had. And then even in science, it may seem like science, and it was a little bit of a stretch, but it seems like science was a harder thing to grasp. But one thing that we noticed is all of our kids, regardless if they're in 6th grade or if they're in 11th grade at Millen Trail, they have a hard time reading graphs and charts and tables. So it was an opportunity to work those things, embed that into the curriculum. I'm going to turn it over a little bit now and let Ms. Pettit speak about PSAP. Unfortunately, Mr. Miller couldn't be here. We hope that he's beating the Mavericks tonight down at James Monroe's.
Hi, good evening. So I'm going to share a little bit about the data that we've collected thus far. So last year was our first year with physical science and algebraic practices classes, which we call PSAP, and it is taught by myself and Mr. Miller, 2 certified teachers. One of the benefits of having 2 certified teachers in a classroom is the class doesn't stop if one of us is absent, because there is still a teacher that is vested in the classroom. It also helps us to provide meaningful interventions to students, because again, class doesn't stop. If this group of kids needs help, we're able to pull them out to the side and work with them and help them to get to where the other students are. So I want to share data from last year, from the beginning of last year to the end of last year on the benchmark, and then I'm going to share the beginning of this year to the beginning of last year's students. I wanted to share two different things. So Mr. Miller actually gave me last year's beginning of the year to this year's beginning of the year, and I said I want to see what last year's kids finished with at the end of the year, because last year's students and this year's students are two different groups of students. And he said, well, that's how we do things in the middle school world, but I wanted to kind of look at a broader scope. So I'm going to share two different data sets with you. So last year, again, was our first year, and we're still kind of ironing out all the things. We've changed a little bit of the stuff that we've done from last year to this year to make it a stronger program. But on average, our students scored a 316 on the benchmark. Last year at the beginning, at the end, they scored an average of 378, which is an increase of 62 points. But what I really thought was interesting was I looked at the individual students, and we have somewhere around 50, and their scores increased individually anywhere from 30 to 130 points.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So this year's data is in comparison to last year's beginning of the year data. So I feel like we're already on a much better scope this year. So last year we had an increase of 277 points overall on the PSAT. So last year's average score was 694, and this year is 921.
That's pretty good.
And then we had on math specifically a 52-point increase in score. And that is an average of 13% more correctly answered questions. So I do want to thank you all for your continued support of the class. This is our second year. We are still ironing out all the bugs and trying to make it better and trying to continuously improve, because one of our main goals was to increase math skills, and we hope that that translates to math scores. So do you guys have any questions for me?
Keep up the good work. Fantastic. Just keep it up.
So as you're engaging with the students in this model, I think the scores kind of speak for themselves, right? You see that engagement increasing, it seems like. So, what other observations, perhaps ad hoc observations, have you made in the classroom that seems to map to the success of the changes?
Well, I will say currently we're working on our spread of disease unit. And what we had students do was we introduced each group, we have 8 groups. Each group had a packet of patients from a specific area. What they didn't know was all of the areas were feeders to Midland Trail Hospital. That's what they eventually figured out. But they each got a packet of symptoms. So, these 8 people from HICO came into the clinic, and these are the symptoms that they have. So we told them, you have to dig through your data, and every day we gave them another layer and another layer. So one day they got medical records, another day they got like flyers from the community, and they had to put all of the information together. So you'll see like the poster boards that we have back here. We just told them, hey, grab some poster boards, grab some markers, and go. And Mr. Miller and I walked around and listened to groups. We kind of guided groups. We asked questions to probe them. They ended up gathering all of their data from their charts and their individual notes, and they put it up on the board here of each of the different systems that were affected. And then they made their own graph. That is all student-led 100%. In the regular ed classroom, it's hard to get a student to even get up and stand up and read a PowerPoint in front of the whole class. But these students, I said, okay, here you go, take the marker, you're in charge. Me? Yep, let's do it.
Empowering.
So they jumped in and they started working on it, because the culture and the climate in the classroom is different. It is not only to increase math skills, but one of our goals is to introduce them to different industries. So we took the career clusters whenever we started creating the class, and we broke it down. We had, before the class began, we had different people from different industries come in and work with us, one of which was the, what is the name right here beside of us? Raynell Medical Center. Yes, we had a doctor from Raynell Medical Center. She came in, met with us 3 or 4 times. she worked through the material with us to help us build this particular program, and then they came back last year and our students presented their projects to them. So I feel like they're getting a lot more bang for your buck in this class because they're learning to do things, they're learning to figure things out, to think on their feet, and hopefully increase their math scores. That's, one of our main goals.
All right.
A general comment. I think Valley Pre-K-8, when we were at their LSIC meeting, they touched on the empowerment model and was able to share some data with us. And then, the empowerment model here. I think, Mr. Gray touched on it too. I think the numbers speak for themselves, and I believe that the empowerment model, is the way of the future. Really, it's a great way to take what the kids are learning and apply it to a real life situation, and a perfect way to connect the dots. So wonderful job with that.
Yes,
And then they get, I think, why have I got to learn algebra? Why? And this, they aren't even asking the questions and they're finding out the answer. But they're also rewarded in a different way than an elementary school rewards, because you get this data and then you make a presentation to a professional, and it just keeps going up. It's a different kind of incentive, I think, and it's much more powerful at their age as they grow toward college or the military or building a business or whatever. So it crosses not just educational information. It crosses life skills, and that's you can't beat that. It's just fabulous. Good job.
I think it's great myself too, because you're dealing with the real, as she was saying, the real world situations that these kids are going to be faced with as soon as they get out of school, or college or wherever. They're going to be dealing with this, and you guys are empowering them, and I'm saying to myself, you and Mr. Miller, the instruction, the way you guys are presenting this, it's got to be fantastic. I find myself wanting to get in the class. Good job. Just keep it up. Just keep it up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I do also want to point out that Nora was fine until Mr. Pettit started presenting. I do want everybody to know that.
Good job.
Thank you.
Just if I can make one statement, I really appreciate the devotion of teachers that put in.
Oh, God, yes.
This
That's
is a different way
unbelievable.
of teaching. It's the right way to teach. It's a different way of teaching, and it takes a lot of effort and the development of your units and development of your lessons. That hasn't gone unnoticed.
Magic.
It hasn't gone unnoticed, every day.
And we need it in all
I
the
want to say that
schools.
you married the right woman.
I know that.
I'm not sure she was a smart woman. I don't know what the other parts of the state she was, but it's not very
Yeah, I tell everybody I'm smarter than her. Look who she married, look who I'm
But the idea that they do, and I hear, when you're in my office, you hear the challenge that occurs. Students get challenged.
That is
And
fantastic.
that makes me happy.
Oh, man.
It's not
Yeah.
easy.
Great job.
But students being challenged, and that's important.
I actually want to piggyback off that a little bit, because these things are all great, and they do come with challenges. And the one challenge on the curriculum side is just that, challenging students to think outside of what their norm. Oftentimes, we want to lead or give the answer to our own kids, right? Our own personal kids that we may be around in our personal lives, because we feel like we're helping them or leading them along that way. Sometimes that productive struggle to have to work through a problem and solve that issue, there's a lot to learn there. I don't know about you all, but there's many times I'll flip on a YouTube video to try to solve a problem at my house because, well, I don't have the best carpentry skills.
I do that too.
But I can figure it out.
Yeah.
So, anyways, sometimes that's hard for students to understand. They feel like I'm not getting supported because I'm in this productive struggle state. So that's a challenge that we sometimes have to overcome. Another challenge, especially, it's not so much on the PSAP side, because I have two teachers. It's a science teacher and it's a math teacher that are coming together and working on those projects. It's two people. on the empowerment side, where we're doing this at the middle school levels, we're asking 6, 7 teachers to get on the same page. And time is a big issue. That's a struggle. Very thankful, we have a board office, Ms. Kincaid Klein has been very supportive in allowing us to get substitutes and work through those things. But ultimately, that's a cost, and time is an issue, money's an issue for those sort of things. So just thinking about, I love to hear that, Mr. Chris, about you believe in it and think that this is the way of the future, because I firmly believe the same exact thing. But we also have to look at how do we sustain it. We don't want it to feel good and then it not pan out to what we want it to be. So if you'll turn to page 4, it should be a flow chart. Green, yellow, red, and more red. I guess you could say pink and red. But if you look at this flow chart, this is probably something that Ms. Kincaid Klein actually tried to beat in our heads as administrators probably 6 years ago, and we were too stubborn to listen to it. But this is intentional intervention. Well, this is what intentional intervention looks like at Mill and Trail. So to ensure that our PBLs are standards-based and driven by standards, we also have to ensure that our students are being assessed at a mastery level of those standards. Well, oftentimes, as I described when I first started, those projects can tend to sometimes lead to feeling good and not necessarily mastering of a standard. But this model here allows us, and we use the tools that are provided to us from the county. So we use the iReady, and in that iReady we have what is called a standards mastery assessment. And so our teachers will give a pre-post, as you talked about earlier, Ms. Whitlock. They'll give a pre-post assessment, and they're able to identify where kids are at in that assessment. And they use this flow chart to intentionally intervene where that kid is at. So that, yes, they may be really strong at, say, the debate side of their peers when they're working on their project. So they're able to find successes in that project, but we're also still focusing on the standard that's going to lead to mastery of content. And so this is how we track that. This is how we intentionally intervene with those students. I'll be happy to explain that some more if you want to. Before I turn this over to my parents, I do want to take a minute back up. I got Mr. Chris here with us today. He's actually helped us with our empowerment and getting this off the ground. He brings a lot of expertise from the CTE world. Ms. Chapman, who I will always claim, I know she's here tonight in a different capacity, but she's mine. Miss Lively's here. Mr. Gladwell, who's been back there crying. Miss Burton is back here, middle school counselor. Of course, Miss Pettit spoke. Miss Persinger is my high school counselor. Miss Hitchcock's not with me, but I'll acknowledge her.
Grab her.
Miss Perry is one of my parents. Miss Campbell, obviously one of my parents. And Miss Wilson?
Yes, she.
Okay, so I have Miss Wilson here, and Miss Sue Wood was actually here earlier too, but she had to take off. So I wanted to make sure I touched base with everybody that showed up to support, and who's been a big part of what we're doing here at Mill and Trail. So that being said, now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Campbell.
Jennifer, he took a lot longer, so whatever time you need is fine.
We did. We were joking earlier. Mr. Pettit told me that we had to keep it to 20 minutes, and I said, do they know who you are? They can talk forever. Anyway, my name is Jennifer Campbell. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight, and I just want to say on behalf of my daughter, thank you for the 2-hour delay tomorrow. I'm sure she's going to I will say, I do want to say thank you to Mr. Pettit, Mr. Gladwell, and Mr. Crouch. We have the best administration possible in this school. I am so thankful for them as a parent. I also want to say thank you to Ms. Hitchcock and to Ms. Bowling. Without your leadership, we could not claim that we're the best school in Fayette County because we build upon the success that you had at the elementary level to be able to bring that here. And I am honored to be able to stand here before you as a parent to be able to witness that. I am the president of our PTO. I do have some of my officers here tonight. Julia Perry, she is our treasurer.
Siobhan Wilson is our secretary, and Ms. Sue Wood, who you probably know from the Tayette Prevention Coalition, she's our vice president. So I am honored again to be a part of this organization. We are a standalone 501c3, but we would not exist without Midland Shaw High School. And so it is our prerogative to act in partnership with the high school and be able to look at things that we can do to be able to augment all of the different programs and different things that we have going on here at the high school. In my previous career, one of the things that I took pride in is that we were involved heavily in a program where we looked at what we were doing and we said, how can we make this better? And so in this capacity that I've been in now, going on 2 years, that's what I've aimed to do. What are we doing and how can we make this better? How can we build upon the success that we've had in the past and be able to involve parents and students in such a way that continues to give us growth in our organization? One of the things that I've heard here tonight, we have talked about reading at all levels. Reading is such an important part of learning, and without reading, there would be no success no matter what the subject. So what our officers and I have done since the very beginning, since we came on board in 2023 during the summer, we have met and we have said one of the things that we wanted to do was target literacy education. And one of those reasons is because we recognized coming out of the pandemic that students were declining in their reading comprehension, as you well know. One of the studies that I found compelling during that time, it was done by Scholastic, and I want to make sure that I read this correctly. So they said with 19%, they said with kids, they have better mental health outcomes when they read, okay? They were 19% of more frequent readers felt lonely as compared to 30% of those who did not read. So when you're addressing mental health concerns and you're looking at what ways that we can actively engage kids to be able to, kind of dissipate that, reading is another foundation where we can get books in the kids' hands so that they don't feel as lonely. And that is one of the ways that we can help improve not only upon their mental health, but also subjects. We took that again, reading, comprehension, literacy education, and we tried to figure out ways that we could improve those things because we know reading also improves language development, cognitive capacity, it improves empathy, emotional awareness, and immerses them in cultures and adventures that they otherwise would not be able to imagine. Essentially, we wanted to create a culture of readers here at Midland Shaw High School. So some of the things that we've done, as you'll see in the pictures that are going through the slideshow, we were one of, and I want to claim this because I think this is really important. We've always had bookmobile at the elementary levels, but we said, how can we do that? We don't have a library here at the school. How can we get that for our kids? So we contacted the bookmobile and we had them start showing up every other week for our middle and high school students. And a lot of people thought, well, that's only for elementary kids, but it's not. We have students every other week who go out religiously to visit our bookmobile, to check out books, and to be able to take those home and read them. So that was one of the things we were very proud of. We also hosted the very first book fair ever in the history of Midland Shaw High School. So we actually did this through a partnership with a bookstore out of Lewisburg called A New Chapter, who was very accommodating to getting us the levels of books that are needed in the middle and high school grades. Scholastic is wonderful. The book fair's there for the elementary level, but when you get into their upper level book fairs, there are no books available for middle and high schoolers. So it was great to be able to have that partnership with A New Chapter. They provided everything for us, and the kids loved it. But one of the things that kind of held us back from doing that again this year was that the kids who wanted books maybe couldn't afford it. And so we looked at that and we thought, again, what are some of the ways that we can improve? And so we reached out to Read Aloud West Virginia, who I adore, been a part of for many years. We said, what can we do to get books in the hands of our students? And so we started doing book giveaways. We, last year, were able to do our first book giveaway in the spring, and we gave away a book to every single middle school student. And so those kids who could not participate in our book fair, because they, for whatever reason, were able to get a book. And that was very important. And if you could have seen the faces of those kids, you would have been just as excited about it as I am, because it was something else. So we're doing that again this year. We're actually getting ready to do that again in partnership with Read Aloud West Virginia to do another book giveaway for our middle school grades.
in February. So we're very, very excited about that. And I want to thank J.R. Davis at the Fayette County Read Aloud and also our state Read Alouds for getting those books to us. Again, we still wanted to go further because I don't think this is it for reading. One of the new things that we've done this year for our middle and high school kids is we created a book club. I heard someone say, one of the little kids, they said, we don't like to be told what to read. Well, we don't either. So a book club, sometimes when you go into that, you have a book for that month that everybody is to read. But this one is actually called, What Are You Reading Book Club? Because I want to know what you're reading, and I want to know what you're reading, and I want to know what you're reading, and the kids want to talk about this. They don't necessarily want to be given a book with an assignment. They just want to talk about what they're reading. Whether it's a comic book, whether it's anime, whether it's a cookbook and a new, whatever food that they've been preparing, they come in and they are very excited about this opportunity to talk about that. And I think that Ms. Lively would probably attest to that. The excitement that has been generated through our book club, I don't even know how to explain it. We have been able to not only go from a monthly book club with PTO, but that's been broken down further, and now there are weekly meetings at the middle school and the high school level where kids want to meet to talk about their books. So it's a huge testament, to how hungry these kids are. And because of my unique position, because I'm not paid by the board, I can say things. So I want to challenge you with this, okay? This is our library. And many, many years ago, along the tooth, so I remember when this happened, we had budget cuts. And one of the things that happened was our librarian was cut. And our books kind of took a back burner. But I'm going to tell you this. Our kids are hungry for a book in their hand. Technology is great, but they don't want to read off of it. They want books. And so I challenge you as a board with this problem. And one of the things that we actively tried to fix, how can we get new books on those shelves? And how can we get our kids not only to have a bookmobile every other week, but a place where they can come in and they can search the shelves and they can look and they can get those books for themselves because they want that. And I realize that we have teachers have their own little libraries in their classrooms, but kids are limited. There's only so much space in a classroom, and classes have classes in them, so they're very limited on those books that they can choose from. So that's one of the things that we look at, and one of the things that we could really appreciate your help in trying to fix. Some other things that we've done, because PTO strives to bridge the gap between home and school, I want to give you some of those other activities that we've been able to integrate. We picked up off of the success of some of the things that we did at Divide Elementary. We were fortunate, again, to have such a strong foundation, and we started doing an ice cream social at the very beginning of the year before school starts as an integration of our 6th grade students, because what better way to get students excited about coming to school than giving them some ice cream? So for the last 2 summers before school starts in August, we invite all of the students and their families to come up for ice cream, or this past year we did Aurora Ice, and we play games and we play music, and there's no string attached. They just come up, they learn about the school, they get to get a feel for each other of who's going to be there, and also this is important for not only our Divide and Anstead kids, but all of the kids coming in from other areas. So we are very happy about the success of that, and we hope to continue doing that. For parents, we do something called a coffee and conversation on the first day of school. This is so fun, and another thing that came from Divide. Every year on the first day of school, we invite all of the parents and their families to come and just join us in some coffee. We've dropped our kids at school for the first day, and we welcome that conversation. We've also, for the very first time this year, done the Trunk or Treat Halloween Parade and given out candy from the community. This was a huge success and something that I hope continues for years to come. The kids are very excited about that. We've been asked to help with PBIS incentives and be able to provide volunteers for things such as water distribution, or to help with, again, other ice creams or passing out popcorn. Those are all things that we've been able to reach into our plethora of parents that we have and be able to get volunteers for those. We provided a family tech talk training to parents to bring awareness, to help them use technology and apps that their kids are using and be able to speak the lingo. So that's so important because so many parents do not understand what their kids are doing on their screens. We have taken on, I think we have 3 school bulletin boards that we do every month. We try to change those out. One is a recognition students in the newspaper. So if they're mentioned in the newspaper, if there's something that involves Midland Trail, we keep that changed for them so that they can see it. And we also do the bulletin board so that it gives them something new to look to in the hallways. We also have our monthly PTO meetings, and we have a very active Facebook group, a private Facebook group for our parents, where if they can't make the meeting, they know what's going on and they're engaged and can help us in whatever way that they can. Our staff and our teachers are very important to us, and so we spend a great deal of time trying to let them know how much we appreciate them. We do this through our teacher appreciation luncheon that we have every year. We stock our teachers' lounges periodically throughout the year. We've had a welcome wagon where we've taken around snacks and drinks to our teachers, and this year we got to do some flowers and candy for our teachers as well. We also give the teachers an opportunity to request items that they otherwise would buy on their own, and through that we've been able to provide dry erase kits and different things, different resources for their classrooms. So these are still, again, programs that we're working on. We want to ask you if you have anything in mind that you would like to see us do, please let us. We always welcome any comments. And as we continue to move forward, and especially as we continue to see improvement in our test scores and excitement from the students about the programs that we've helped to implement, we will look to our educational partners for your continued support and for your valuable input as we strive to achieve our overall mission. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate it very much.
Good job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now you know why I asked her to come up here and speak. She's a lot better at that. The last thing I want to talk to you about tonight is some of our wraparound services and some challenges that we're facing. So we currently have 2 school counselors. One serves the high school students, one serves middle school students. They're both actually here with us tonight. We also use the school-based health through Rainow Medical, which has been amazing. We serve a lot of students. They serve a lot of our students throughout the school day, and then they also offer mental health services there as well with the counselor. And we have a drawing a blank of what that. We have a student from college. What do we call that? Intern. That's it. That's what they call it. So we have an intern that comes to us. It's a social worker intern, kind of. She actually is doing more therapy through her program than more social work. But she's here 2 days a week from Concord. Probably the biggest need that I would say that we have, if it's possible, is time for my counselors in the summer, my school-based counselors, to work on issues that arise in the summer. And what I'm trying to describe here is Midland Trail has become kind of a magnet school in that we get a lot of, especially in the summer months, we get a lot of transfer ins. But we bring our counselors in at the same time we bring our teachers, which is 3 days before students. And so we have a pile of new transfer ins, needing schedules, needing those sort of things. And we're trying to, and they do a great job. And I'll be the first to say this, those ladies that are sitting in here work for me as late into the evenings, as often as I ask them to. I could ask them to come in during the day, during the summer, and they would be here for me. But I just would like for you all to think about ways that we can compensate them so that we can bring them in, get the kids serviced, and then when we're opening school on day one, we're able to service all kids academically and meeting their mental health needs because we got all the paperwork and all the check boxes out of the way. So with that being said, does anybody have any questions?
I make a comment. I love the focus on reading. And you said it, and I think anybody agree with you. That's what we need for the base. That's when they get started at. The child can't read, so that is exciting what y'all doing there. Very good. Good job.
She's very persistent.
I can tell.
She's
a good partner.
It's been a great, I mean, every piece of the puzzle seems to sing. And the way you wrapped it up with, I mean, we're competitive. I don't know you, but I know of you. And when you said that about reading, I don't know if you noticed, I've watched a lot of football in the last weekend. A.J. Brown reading his book. Did you all see that? I almost did that, but I didn't know if everybody did it. But anyway, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that at our staff meeting on Thursday morning. But that book is now #1. The bestsellers list. It's called Inner Excellence, if anybody wants to know. But the idea of modeling reading, if you're older kids and young, I mean, everybody with a book in their hand. I know at Fayetteville they were playing games during lunch to because the kids don't have their phones anymore. And reading's another way. And what A.J. Brown said was exactly what you said.
Yeah, I do.
Reading like music.
Yeah, I've got everything that I need to get to her.
Positive
I'll send it to her
influences into your
tomorrow.
brain
Okay,
helps
she kind
his
of
mental
wanted it
health.
verbally.
It
I don't
helps
need to put
ground
that pressure
him, is
on
what
you.
he said.
Because
He
she's in
wasn't
meetings
ignoring
right
the
after that
game.
with us.
It's what he does
wanted
to
to get
ground
that
himself.
I'm actually going to give it to her at the meeting tomorrow.
Mentally. And I think that's a huge lesson, and I know a lot of kids, and obviously
Okay,
a lot of
but I may
adults
need to
have
explain
seen
it
that
to her.
modeling of reading, and
It's not-
I mean, I'm
everybody
not
said
putting you on
right
spot.
on.
No,
She's
It
texting.
fits right back
Yeah, we'll let her
into
know that
what,
I'll send it, but I probably need to
the
explain it to her.
curriculum is learning here.
We have a safety meeting.
You may not
our
be able
meeting.
to,
Okay.
you know,
That's
figure
what she
out
was
why you
concerned
take
about. She was getting
algebra or
time.
why you.
Okay, so I'll try to touch base with her then before our meeting tomorrow.
But it takes you somewhere else.
Because it's not a simple email.
Make sure you
Okay.
relate to other
Please, I'm not-
circumstances.
No, just let her know. Just let her
It's just such a
understand.
comprehensive.
Okay.
And he said it was magic, and I said it was common sense, because it really is taking the most common denominators of what we need to know and teaching it in the way we can grasp it. And it just, the whole evening has been fabulous, and appreciate you lifting me up after, it seems like it's, well, school health that I have, we haven't been in school health for New River Health since the 20th of December. And it's kind of a drudgery to not, to not be out there with the kids and in the schools and stuff. So I appreciate the lift that you all gave me and what you're doing for not just your school, but for the future of this community over here. Thank you.
Mr. Pettit, I commend you and your staff, your teachers. You guys are doing a great job. And the one thing Cindy didn't tell you I said was, we need this everywhere. So you guys just keep going where you're going. You're doing a great job. And got Mr. Chris there. Lean on him. Even with one leg, he's a pretty tough guy.
He's good with just one leg.
Mr. Pettit, I echo Ms. Whitlock and Mr. Groom. I think there's some wonderful, wonderful things going on here, and again, with the empowerment model. And I know you had mentioned earlier, that you hope that you were able to sustain that. Do you feel like there's any support that you need to sustain the empowerment model?
I mean, without consulting with the team of teachers, I know the biggest issue they have is time. It's finding time. It's one thing to common plan and being on the same page, but to assess those projects, to get kids together. I mean, several of you have been to those culminating activities with the kids. There's a lot of time invested in that, and I don't know. I don't have the answer. If I had the answer, I'd already given it to them. But something that I think we need to continue to consider. It's not a money issue. The central office has been very supportive. You all have been very supportive. More creativity than I guess I've come up with thus far would be probably the right answer.
Wonderful, wonderful. Coach?
Again, to echo what everybody said, the excitement I hear here is going to carry over. And the excitement in your voice and your presenters' voices, kids here are going to benefit. And to me right now, you're a model.
Thanks, sir.
And that's makes me happy, makes me proud.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
I got a few things for you.
Okay.
No. First of all, again, very proud of what we're accomplishing here. Going back to the Empowerment Conference, to be able to witness other school systems in other states come in and witness firsthand what our kids are doing. And folks, when we were there, it wasn't Mr. Pettit talking. It was our kids. It was our kids setting up there and giving answers to what they were doing and being very comfortable interacting with professionals. And it made me extremely proud as a board member to see our kids represent us so well. So great job with that. You hear me ask for this a lot, though. I'd still want to see those numbers, right? Because we tout that, right? That these kids that we started in the Empowerment Collaborative journey in 6th grade, their attendance is better, their discipline referrals are better, and now we're starting to see that in their test scores. So we...
I'll give you the test scores numbers right now. 5% in English growth and 2% in math. I have to go back and look at the attendance numbers. I can't remember that one off the top of my head. And the discipline.
And that is from 6th grade to 7th grade, correct? Okay. So as those kids grow, it'll be exciting to see if that continues,
Absolutely.
Those trends continue. And then the collaboration with our math and science, with that program. And I hope we intend to continue that.
Absolutely.
And then what do we need to do? Do we need to continue to provide you a waiver for that? So.
Right now, we're operating without a waiver. We weren't approved.
Yes. Yep.
But we've managed to make that work currently. So we found another avenue.
But I think as we show the successes from it, we should be able to substantiate those waivers at state level. So.
And to share a little bit of testimony on that, we actually had state folks come in and I don't want to say audit, but they came in to look at the program. And the lady that denied the
application for the waiver.
Application, initially, when she came in and she looked at it, she said, if everybody across the state would do it this way, we would teach physical science in place of Earth. So that was her words.
And she was pretty stuck on that topic.
She
It
was.
didn't happen prior to coming in that day.
She was. Yeah, she wasn't a supporter until she came in and witnessed. So.
And that's in our 9th grade setting, so it's outside the Empowerment Collaborative, but it is very much in alignment with what we're doing. So it's almost like a continuation from our middle school into the high school with Absolutely. That PBL type of learning. So PTO, great readout. Miss Campbell and I have conversations quite often, and they're never short. She's always asking great questions and has a lot of great ideas and seeks to understand what's happening within our system and the state. So I appreciate that dialogue. So, and I can see it working here. And I can't tell you we have immediate answers to some of the things you asked for, but you can be assured that we're going to discuss these, right? So, and my challenge will be, at one day, I know your children will graduate and move on. So how do we keep the PTOs as strong as it is today in the future? I think that's important to think about. So, but again, nice work. I appreciate everyone coming out and sharing with us this evening. Thanks for hosting us.
Absolutely.
And I'll let Mr. Hogue briefly close us out.
First thing is, just a compliment to you and your staff, Richard. No matter what initiative that we try to put forward or you take upon yourself, you do an outstanding job. And I'll say that clearly. Many conversations, they watch us jab back and forth in public. But we have a lot of behind-the-scenes conversations, and never is it a negative approach to what's best for children. And I greatly appreciate your leadership and the work that you do every day, and your staff's work, because they've been an important part of your team, and I think some of them are sitting over there, their willingness to do anything, and your good assistants that you have too that do a great job. I want to touch on what Jennifer said, and I'm going to say thank you first for the literacy commitment to make our children avid readers. I think that's extremely important. But the communication line, we talked about it when Christy Chris was here and made her statement, the communication line with parents. There is no doubt that Jennifer asked tough questions. I walked back there earlier, and she said, I have a question for you. I said, okay, whatever you got. She said, well, this could get, but it's not done in a malicious way. It's done in a way for what's best for the students here at Midland Trail and to build that, and being an avid supporter for us when we make those calls. And realizing what the tough decisions are and why we have to, you make me give explanations, and I greatly appreciate how those explanations are handled once they're given to you. And sometimes it causes me to think, okay, I got to change this up. We got to do something different. It's kind of what these 5 people do to me every day, and that's a good thing. That's not a negative issue. They ask questions, and questions not for individual agendas, for what's best for our students. And so much of that isn't done in all kind of places, in all situations, and I greatly appreciate that. And I appreciate that communication line with parents. A lot of times in our middle schools and our high schools, we don't have that. That's kind of a major weak spot that we have, a major, major weak spot. So to see it here at Midland Trail, that's such a positive issue, and I thank you for that, and I thank you for those efforts. And again, I'm done talking. That's pretty brief, right?
Hey, you know, this is completely out of line, but there's one thing I would say. Mr. Pettit mentioned me calling him. When I called him, first of all, in the middle of summer, and he wasn't working. And he was in bed, I think, and I said, we need to meet at school, we got some things to talk about. And what that was Kathy D'Antoni had this plan and all that. But at that time, when we talked about this, there was not a penny to be had for anything as far as empowerment goes. But since that day, in fact, lucky day for me, the day I broke my leg, we found out that we got almost an $8 million ARC grant for empowerment. And the reason that $8 million was obtained was largely because of the work of Midland Trail High School. I mean, that's where all the data came, that's where all the information came, that's where all the eyes came to look and see what was going on, was Midland Trail. And of course, D'Antoni had the opportunity to get to Gail Mansion and a few others. But because of Midland Trail, the empowerment folks now have $8 million to carry that forward and work with school systems. And I think what a testimony to Midland Trail. What a testimony to Midland Trail.
Exactly.
Yep.
Specifically to those teachers, because they're the ones that made it work.
Yeah.
So.
You do a great job.
Great job.
All right. All right.
Sorry about that.
No, very good. Mr. Pettit, thank you. We appreciate it. Now we'll finish up with a little bit of business here. So board members, our next meeting will be on the 21st. That's our regular meeting. It will be at 6 p.m. And just as an FYI, board members, Jim Brown will be joining us. He'll be coming to go over a timeline with us to look at how we'll approach bringing in our next superintendent. So we certainly hate to see Mr. Hogue move on to new chapters in his life, but we're very happy for him personally. So he's going to be hard. I won't use the word replace because we won't replace him, but we will bring in someone behind him. So, and with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Whitelock. Thank you, Mr. Groom. All in favor?